Mathematics 3. This is the BTech courses for computer science and engineering. Code is MCSE 301. Mathematics 3 for the information technology. BTech courses. Paper code is MIT 301. Now I am going to teach the Mathematics 3, paper code MCS 301 for the computer science and engineering, module 6, graph theory, lecture number 32. For the information technology, paper code is MIT 301, module 5, content graph theory, lecture number 29. Today we learn about the graph theory, that is the preface introduction to the graph theory, little bit history of the graph theory and application branches and few definitions related to the graph theory. Preface and introduction to the graph theory. Some history of the graph theory and its branches. Graph theory began with Leonhard Euler in his study of the bridges of the Königsberg. That is, problem is known as the Königsberg problem. We discuss this problem later on, but the problem is known as the Königsberg problem and it was solved. That Königsberg problem is the unsolved problem. It cannot be solved because some constraint is there, it cannot be satisfied. That completely explained by the mathematician Euler. Solve this, solved means he explained this with the theory. This is very first problem in the graph theory. The field has exploded, becoming one of the most important areas of the applied mathematics. We currently study, generally speaking, graph theory is a branch of combinatorics, but it is closely connected to the applied mathematics, optimizers theory, and the computer science. At Penn state of example, if you want to start a bar just between the math and the computer science and possibly electrical engineering, you might claim that graph theory belongs rightfully in the maths department. This is only funny because there is a strong group of graph theorists in our computer science department also. In reality, graph theory is cross-disciplinary between the mathematics, computer science, electrical engineering, and operations research. Here are some of the subjects within the graph theory that are of interest to people in these disciplines. Optimization problem on graphs. Problem of optimizations on the graphs generally treat a graph structure like a road network and attempt to maximize along the network while the minimizing cost. There are many classical optimization problems associated to the graph, and this field is sometimes considered a sub-discipline with combinatorial optimization. Topological graph, this is the one aspect. Another aspect is the topological graph theory asks questions about the methods of the embedding graphs into the topological space like R-square, that means two-dimensional space, or on the surface of a torus, so that certain properties are maintained. For example, the questions of planarity asks, can a graph be drawn on the plane in such a The question of planetary arcs can be drawn in the plane in such a way so that no two edges cross. Clearly, The Bridges of Königsberg's graph had that property, but not all graphs do. That will explain the planetary graphs and non-planar. That is called the planar graphs and non-planar graphs. When we can represent a graph in a 2D plane without intersecting the edges. But before that, we have to learn the graph definition. What is the vertex? What is the edge? Then it will be clear to you. Graph coloring, a question related both to optimize and to planarity, asks how many colors does it take to color each vertex or edge of a graph so that no two adjacent vertices have the same color. This is known as the coloring problem. Attempting to obtain a coloring of a graph has several applications to scheduling and computer science. Fourth, analytic graph theory is the study of randomness and probability applied to the graphs. Random graph theory is a subset of this study. In it, we assume that a graph is drawn from a probability distribution that returns graph, and we study the properties that certain distribution of the graphs have. Algebraic graph theory is the application of abstract algebra, sometimes associated with the matrix groups, to graph theory. Many interesting results can be proved about the graphs when using the matrices and other algebraic properties. Also, application in the network science. What is called the network science? Network science is one of these interdisciplinary terms that seems to be appearing everywhere, and it seems to be used by anyone who is not a formal mathematician or computer scientist to describe his or her work in some application of the graph theory. Popular in the field a few years ago, there are two options on the network science that this work in all so brilliant, new and exciting and will change the world, or we can say this is an old as the hills and is just a group of physicists and interpreting classical results in graph theory and mixing in econometric style experiments. Now we are entering to the actual definition of the graph theory. What is called the graph? Now we are entering into the graph theory. And what is the definition of graph? Now we are discussing here the definition. Theorems we discuss in the next class. In this class, in this lecture class, only we discuss about the definitions. What is called the graph? A graph, we are calling G is a graph. What are the three things is there? V, E and phi. V is the vertex set, E is the edge set, and phi is a function between E and V. So a graph G, we are writing this way. This is the tuple V, E and phi tuple associated with the G consists of a non-empty set. V is a non-empty set, is the collection of V1, V2 going on for a finite graph. That is the two part, infinite graph and the finite graph. Finite graph, the number of vertices is finite. The V1, V2 whose elements V1, V2 are called the vertices. So V is a vertex set whose elements are V1, V2, Vn. For a finite set, n is finite, or for infinite set, n is infinite. And these elements V1, V2 belongs to V is known as the vertices. A set E whose elements are E1, E2 going on. For a finite set, it is up to the n is finite. En whose elements are E1, E2 are called the edges. And phi is the function that assigned to each edge. Suppose this is an edge Ek, and this is Ek is not mentioned. Ordered means Ek is not ordered, means Vk minus 1 and Vk plus 1. That is called the ordered. So it is unordered pair. It is joined the unordered pair. Ek an unordered pair. That's why it is written the unordered pair. Vi and Vj. It is not necessarily Ek should connect the Vk minus 1 and Vk plus 1. Or we can say Vk and Vk plus 1, or Vk minus 1 or Vk. It is not the ordered mentioned. It is unordered. It is can pair of vertices associated with an edge Ek. It may be V1, V2. It may be V1, V5. It may be V2, V3. It may be V2, Vk. Like that. That's why we are saying it is an unordered pair, Vi, Vj, of vertices. The vertices Vi and Vj associated with Ek are known as the end vertices of Ek. So in this graph, Ek is an edge whose end vertices is Vi and Vj. This is also the another graph, Ek. This is the graph. Suppose this is G1 graph and this is G2 graph. In this case, Ek is edge associated with the vertex Vi, end and two end vertices is both are the Vi. We learn what is the called this graph and what is called this, that we learn. But for the basic definition, I think it is clear. Graph usually represented by means of a diagram in which the vertices are represented as point or the dots and such edge as a line. That line not necessarily the straight line. It may be the line segment or segment of a curve. It may be segment of a curve, not the straight line, not necessary. The line segment joining its end vertices. These are the vertex. This is represented by points or the dot. This is represented by points and the dot, and that edge connecting this vertex, two vertex, is the edge. That edge not necessarily be a straight line. It may be any part of a curve. It may be the curvature. This is the curve. So it is start from V2 and end. That means two end vertices of the edge E1 is V2. In this case, E5 is the edge whose end vertices is V1 and V3. This is edge E6 whose end vertices is V3 and V4. E7 is the edge whose end vertices is V4 and V5. In this case, we can see E4 and E5 have the common end vertices V1 and V3. That definition we learned. In this case also, definition we learned. Next, finite and infinite graphs. In the definition of graph, neither the vertex set V nor the edge set E be finite. If the vertex set, see, it is the continuing in this way and in this way, it is continuing. Each and every vertex is the part of this. That means it is continuation is there, continuation is there, continuation is there, continuation is there. We are considering the part of that graph. This is also the part of the graph. It is the continuation of that. It is going on continuously. So when the number of vertices and number of edges are not finite, then it is known as the infinite graph. Otherwise, it is known as the finite graph. When the number of vertices and edges are finite, then it is known as the finite graph. In the definition of graph, neither the vertex set V or not the edge set B finite. In most of the theory and almost all the application, vertex set and the edge set both are finite. A graph with finite number of vertices and finite number of edges is called the finite graph. Otherwise, it is an infinite graph. Example. Now I am explaining with an example. That is the vertex. What are the vertex edges? See, V, capital V is the vertex. This is a graph G. G is combination of V, E and phi. Three things is there. G, this is a graph there. G is a graph with V is the vertex set, E is the edge set, and phi is the function. Define the edge with combination of the pair of vertex. In this case, you can say for this edge E1, only one vertex V2, but you can write it V2 comma V2, that is pair of vertex. That means both end vertex of E1 is V2. Now, what are the vertexes here? V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. So V equal to, what are the elements of the V set? That is the vertex set, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5. All the vertices is here. Now edge set, E is the edge set. How many edges is here? E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7. E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7. These are the elements of the edge set. And let phi is the function, which is define the relation between the edge and the vertex. That is, we can write in this way, phi E1. E1, if we consider E1 is the edge, so function E1 equal to, what are the vertex associated with this edge? V2 comma V2. That means two end vertices of E1 is V2. Now I am considering the edge E2. So phi E2, what are the vertex associated with this edge? Two end vertex is V2 and V4. V2 and V4. So we are writing phi E2 is equal to V2 comma V4. If anywhere we are writing this way, edge V2 comma V4. So also you can write edge in this notation also, V2 comma V4, Vi comma Vj within the bracket. That means edge joining the two vertex V2 and V4. In this case, see, V4 comma V5. That means the edge connecting the two vertex V4 and V5. V4 and V5. So you can write each and edge by the vertex pair. So this is the notation of the function. So this is the example of a graph. Now self loop or the loop. What is called the loop in a graph? That is known as the self loop or it is known as the loop. But that loop related to the electrical circuit is different. Loop in a electrical circuit and in the graph theory, self loop or loop is little bit different. So we should not confuse with the elliptical loop and the graph theory loop. Loop means it is the self loop. Let if G be a graph. Now from onwards we are not writing the phi. G means G is a graph with the vertex set and the edge set. Now from onwards we are omitting the function phi. That means G have a vertex and edge. Next we learn G may not be the E set. It may be without the E set, but V must there. V set must be there in a graph. Now for a graph, G, V is a graph and V belongs to B. V belongs to B means the V is the vertex which belongs to the vertex set, and E belongs to the V means it is the combination of pair of two vertex. This is the meaning of that E equal to pair of two vertex. We can write it Vi comma Vj also, but it is the notation of the set. That's why from that we have to choose the pair of vertices. Then edge E is called a self loop. Say in this case E, when it is associated with the edge associated with the single vertex, in this case that V is V2. That means this edge is that E is E1 here, which is associated with the vertex V, that is V2. That means when edge is associated with the single vertex, then it is known as the loop. This edge, for example here, E1 edge with associated with this, it is associated with the vertex V2, single vertex, then it is known as the loop. We can say any other way, that is any edge that is a single element and subset of V is called a self loop. An edge from a vertex to itself, that is an edge having the same vertex as both its end vertices is called a self loop. That means if one edge have both end vertices is the same, in this case E1 edge both end vertices is the same, that's why it is known as the loop or the self loop. Here E1, edge E1 and EK both are the self loop. This is the one graph and this is the another graph. EK is the edge which has both end vertices is Vi. In this graph, E1 is the edge whose both end vertices is V2. When an edge have both end vertices is the same vertex, then it is known as the self loop. Parallel edges. I am considering the same picture for explaining the definition one by one another. Parallel edges. If more than one edge are associated with a given vertex pair, then such edges are called parallel edges. In this case, if we see E4 and E5 both have the same end vertices. E4 have the end vertices V1 and V3, and E5 have the both end vertices V1 and V3. Then E4 and E5 both are the parallel edges. If more than one edges, at least more than one, it may be 2, it may be 3, it may be 4, it may be more than any one, but obviously it is more than one. edges have the same end vertices, then they are known as the parallel edges. Otherwise, we can say if more than one edge have the same start and end vertex, start vertex and end vertex is the same for both the edges, is known as the parallel edges. In this case, see, E4 and E5 are the parallel edges. Simple graph. This is the another definition. But we have to remember each and every basic definition. Otherwise, we face the problem when we discuss the theorem, and the next theorem is related to the previous theorem, and along with this all definitions. Whatever the definitions is there, we are learning that all the definitions we need when we are proving the theorem. And one theorem statement is again we are applying for the next theorem and next theorem. Sometimes we are using the statement of the theorem 1 and 2 in the theorem 5. So you have to remember all the definitions and statement of the theorem. Simple graph, a graph that has neither self loop or not the parallel edges is called the simple graph. For a graph which is without the self loop and parallel edges. In this case, check, there is no self loop and no parallel edges. This is the simple graph. A graph without the self loop and parallel edges is known as the simple graph. No edges have the parallel edges and self loop. So these two graph is the example of the simple graph. We have the more than that. If we take only the rectangular graph, diagonal with this, pentagon, any polygon, we can say any polygon is a simple graph without the self loop and parallel edges. What is called the incidence? What is known as the incidence? When a vertex Vi is an end vertex of some edge Ek, that means Ek edge associated with the vertex Vi, one end. Another end we are not considering right now, but for one edge, that is the pair of vertices we need. Now, just for discussion, we are considering for our definition, when a vertex Vi is an end vertex of some Ek, if we consider, suppose V5 vertex associated with the edge E7. That means E7 incidence on V5. Then Vi and Ek are said to be incident with each other. E7 incident to V5. So both V5 and E7 we are saying is incident both each other. When a vertex Vi is an end vertex of some edge Ek, then Vi and Ek are said to be incident with each other. Normally we are saying E7 incident to V5 and also incident to V4. Next we learn the adjacency. That means adjacent. Those are adjacent with respect to the E7. That we learn next. Here if we see edge E2 and E6 and E7 are incident with the vertex E4, V4. If we consider the vertex V4, edge E2 incident to V4, E6 incident to V4, and E7 incident to V4. So we can say E2, E6, E7 are incident with the vertex V4. These three edges are incident to the vertex V4. So we say E2, E6, E7 are incident with vertex V4. No other edges incident to V4. Now if we take, this is the another vertex I added in this figure. In this figure, if you try to find out, that is no V6. But for discussion, I am considering here the another vertex which is separate from this, no edge connected to this with the any other vertex. That is the 5 vertex, that any other 5 vertices are not connected to V6. So no other edge incident to V6. So no incident is there with respect to the vertex V6, because there is no incident to the V6. So there is no incident with respect to the vertex V6. Adjacent vertices. Two n vertices of an edge are said to be adjacent vertices. In the figure, if we consider this figure, V1 and V2, where is the V1 and V2? V1 and V2 are the end vertices of the edge E3. That's why V1 and V2 are adjacent with respect to the edge E3. In the figure, V1 and V2 are adjacent vertices, where V3 and V5 are not adjacent vertices. At the same way, we can say V3 and V5. Where is the V3? V3 and V5 are not directly connected by an edge. They are connected via the two edges. That's why they are not the adjacent vertices. Like that, V2 and V4 are the adjacent vertices. V3, V4 adjacent vertices. V4, V5 are adjacent vertices. But we can say V5 and V6 are not adjacent vertices because they are not connected by an edge. So we can say V5 and V6 are not adjacent vertices. Like that, V1 and V4 are not adjacent vertices. V3 and V2 are not adjacent vertices because these two vertices are not connected by an edge, EK. Adjacent edges. That means those edges are incident to a vertex, that is known as the adjacent edges. Two non-parallel edges. If we consider this, no. We consider with this E3 and E4. So two non-parallel edges are said to be adjacent when they are incident with a common vertex. In this case, E4, E3. That means we can say E3, E4, E3, E5 are adjacent edges. Like that, E3, E1, E2 adjacent. E2, like that, those are the incident that are the adjacent. E2, E6, E7, that three are the incident with respect to the V4. Now they are adjacent, E2, E6, E7, because they are incident into the common vertex V4. That's why they are adjacent. E2, E6, E7 are said to be adjacent edges. Degree of a vertex. You have to remember each and every definition. That basics definition we have to remember, otherwise we cannot proceed when we start to learning the theorem one by one. Then it would be very difficult to us to explain the theorem if you not remember the basics definitions. The number of edges incident to a vertex Vi with, if there is any self loop, that self loop is counted twice. That I am explaining. What is the meaning of that language? The number of edges incident to a vertex. If we consider the vertex V1, how many edges incident to? E3, E4, E5. So degree of this, how many edges incident to a vertex Vi. Let us consider here, instead of Vi, it is V1. So number of edges 3 incident to V1. Therefore, the degree of the V1 is 3. Now, language is here with self loops counted twice. When the self loop is there, so when we are counting the degree of the vertex V2, this edge incident, that means E3 incident to V2, E2 incident to V2, and E1, if we consider this way, incident to V2, and this way, incident to V2. That's why when we are considering a self loop, it should be counted twice. That means degree of the vertex V2 is 4. Is known as the degree of the vertex Vi, and it is denoted as degrees. Somewhere we are denoted is DEG Vi or dVi. Degree of the vertex Vi, degree of the vertex Vi. If we consider in this figure, degree of V1 is 3, degree of V2 is 4, degree of V4 equal to 3, degree of V5 is 1, degree of V3, now we can say degree of V3 is also 3, degree of V1 is also 3. Now if I ask the degree of V6, no edges incident to V6, no means 0. That means degree of V6 equal to 0. Since there is no edge incident to V6, therefore the degree of the V6, vertex V6 is equal to 0. I think it is clear to all of you. Regular graph. What is called the regular graph? A graph in which all the vertices are of same degree is known as a regular graph. Each and every vertex should be same degree, then it is called the regular graph. A graph in which all the vertices have the same degree. In this graph, it is degrees 2, degree 2, degree 2, degree 2, and degree 2. In this case, degree 2, degree 2, degree 2, degree 2. Now, if we join this way, then we will get this is degree 3 and this is degree 3. If we join by edge, suppose we think there is an edge between corner and corner, but intersection of these two edges is not the vertex. So in this situation, if there is the edge is there, so this will be the degree 3 in this vertex, in this vertex, in this vertex, in this vertex. Then this is a regular graph. If we join this way, this one edge there, one edge there, one edge there, one edge there, and from here another edge is here. So from this connect opposite to vertex, this connect with and with, this connect turn, and this is with this, and this is with this. So in this case, what would be the degree of this? 2, and after adding 4, so we will get a new graph. Degree of each and every vertex is the 4. Then it is a again regular graph. In this case, we can see degree of this vertex 3, degree of this vertex also 3, degree of vertex also 3, degree of vertex also 3, degree of vertex also 3. So this is a regular graph. So when we are explaining with the help of the picture of the diagram, it is more clear to you, but at the same time you have to remember all the definitions before move to the next definitions or proving the theorem. Even and odd vertex. Basically, this is even and odd vertices. Meaning of that, even degree vertex and odd degree vertex. We already learned what is the definition of the degree of a vertices or degree of a vertex. As many edges incident to a vertex is known as the degree of the vertex. If the number of edges incident to a vertex is odd number, then it is a odd vertex, or odd degree vertex. Is the number of edges incident to a vertex is the even number, then it is a even vertex or even degree vertex. A vertex is said to be even or odd if its degree be even or odd respectively. The vertex V2, now if we check the vertex V2, degree of the V2 is 4, that's why it is the even degree vertex. Degree of V1 is 3, that's why it is the odd degree vertex. V3 also odd degree vertex. V4 is also odd degree vertex. Degree of the vertex V5 is 1, so this is also the odd degree vertex. So in this graph, all the vertices are odd degree except the vertex V2 is even degree vertex. The degree of V2 is equal to 4. This is only the even degree vertex, and all other vertices are the odd degree vertex. Pendant vertex or the end vertex. Pendant vertex or end vertex. A vertex of degree is 1. That means which vertex is hanging. See, this is the hanging from 1. Otherwise, in simple way, we can say a vertex whose degree is 1. That is known as the pendant vertex. In this case, in this picture or diagram, we can say in this graph, V5 is the pendant vertex because the degree of V5 is 1. A vertex of degree 1 is said to be pendant vertex, or we can say, or in a graph G, those vertices have the degree 1 is known as the pendant vertex. A vertex whose degree incident or edge incident is only one. That means only one edge incident to a vertex also is known as the pendant vertex. In this vertex, only one edge incident. In this vertex, only one edge incident. In this vertex, one edge is incident. So alternate definition, we can say a vertex whose edge incident is only one or adjacent edge is only one. This vertex adjacent edge is only one. This vertex adjacent edge is only one. This vertex adjacent edge is only one. In this vertex V5, adjacent edge is 1. The vertex V5 is the pendant vertex whose degree is 1. In this case, we are not labeled, but it is clear to you as per my explanation. Isolated vertex. A vertex having no edge incident on it is called an isolated vertex. Otherwise, we can say the degree of a vertex is 0. Then it is known as the isolated vertex. A vertex having no edge incident on it is called an isolated vertex. Therefore, the degree of an isolated vertex is 0. If we consider this is a graph with the one vertex V1, there is no edge incident to it. So this is an isolated vertex. This is another graph with the two vertex V1 and V2. No edges incident to that. So this is also a isolated vertex and whose degree is 0. Previously, I explained their degree is 0 here. In this case, in this graph, along with the all vertices V1 to V6, the V6 degree is 0 and no edge incident to V6. That's why V6 is an isolated vertex. And V5 has degree 1, so this is the pendant vertex, and this degree is 0. That's why it is an isolated vertex, and this is pendant vertex. Now null graph. What is called the null graph? If every vertex of a graph is an isolated vertex, then it is said to be a null graph. That means a graph with only the vertices, no edge is there, then it is known as the null graph. Null graph may be the single vertex null graph. If we consider this is a one vertex null graph because only vertex is there, no edge is there. Isolated vertex may be combination of the other graph. Single vertex may be isolated along with the graph. But null graph, if all the vertices are isolated vertex, then it is known as the null graph. If every vertex of a graph is an isolated vertex, then it is said to be the null graph. Therefore, a null graph has no edge. It has only the vertices or the vertices. So G be a graph with only the V set, not the E set. E set is the null. No edges is there. That's why E set is the null set only. Here the vertex is only one. So one vertex null graph. Here is the two vertexes there. Two vertex null graph. There the three vertex is there. Three vertex null graph. It is going on. So null graph, it is not, nothing is there. Don't say like that. So null graph, only the vertex set is there without the S set. It may be one vertex, it may be two vertices, three vertices, and going on. In a graph, the edge set may be empty, but the vertex set may not be, the mask may not be empty. We can say in a graph, S set may be empty, but the vertex set may not be empty. If the vertex set empty, so it is not a graph. Graphs in different fields are used under the different names such as structures in the civil engineering, that is the Turnkey project. Networks in the electrical engineering. Networks means that the circuit diagram in electrical engineering. Molecular structures in the chemistry. When we define the molecular structure, that is also the application of the graph theory. All are the application of the graph theory. When the Turnkey project they're doing, or in the bridge construction, or whatever the civil construction is there, all the civil engineering, that is the structure we are calling, that is also the graph. Network also, in our the network means in the computer networking, that is also the graph. Organizational structure in the economics, or any organizational structure in the corporate sector, to discussing all the things, that is also the your graph, and so on. So next class we are considering for the module 6 graph theory is there, few theorems and examples and few definitions. That lecture class will be 33 for the module MCSE 301, and lecture will be 30 for the module 5 of MIT 301. That is the end for today's class. Next part we will discuss in the next class.